Caillou, Rosie, the service is about to begin.
Why do we have to get dressed up for a Zoom service?
Pandemic or no pandemic, we all dress up for church.
Look, it's starting. Welcome to Saints Terence and Philip Anglican Church. Today is January 3rd, 2021, the first Sunday of the new year. To mark this new beginning, here is a photo of the church I snapped yesterday. Notice the colorful new addition to our property. It's our way of saying that all are welcome here, no matter who you are or who you choose to love. Now let's begin with the opening hymn. We don't know when we'll get our vaccine, so please continue social distancing and masking up. Oh, and at noon today we have an open church forum. Why didn't you kids sing any of the hymns?
Singing hymns a cappella in front of a webcam is just weird.
Did you see the flag Pastor Louise put up?
Yes, I'll admit I was surprised when I saw it.
Me too. But it was a good move by the pastor.
I agree, Doris. It's a good way to welcome LGBTQ worshippers to our church.
But Dad, she took down our national flag.
It's church, not a public school. There's no national flag requirement for churches.
Caillou, anyone can raise the maple leaf banner, but it takes courage to stand in solidarity with the marginalized community.
The pride flag is a part of our church now, so you'd better get used to it.
Caillou, what are you doing?
Rosie, don't tell Mom or Dad, but I'm going on that Zoom forum to negotiate with Pastor Louise.
About what?
That rainbow flag. Everyone at school knows it's our church. When they see that flag, they'll make fun of us and say that we go to a gay church.
What? I don't want anyone saying I go to a gay church.
Same here. I have nothing against anyone who's gay, bi, trans or whatever. But I'm certainly not an ally.
What do you mean by ally?
Allies are straight people who are outspoken supporters of LGBT causes. And I'm not going to be bossed around by allies.
I wanted to discuss the budget, but all these texts suggest we need to address the elephant in the room. So who wants to begin?
Pastor Louise, I have nothing against the LGBT community, but I don't understand why we need that pride flag. It's a divisive symbol, and I'm afraid it may scare away potential members.
And there is a school close to the church. What will those parents think of us when they see that flag near their kids' school?
I'm all for being inclusive, but this is going too far.
Keep in mind that our membership has been steadily declining. We're trying to reach out to a vulnerable community. Many of these people are afraid to even enter church. They need to see those rainbow colors to know it's a safe place.
Pastor Louise, I'm a school student, and I don't want my classmates making fun of me and saying that I go to a gay church.
Caillou, how exactly would you define a gay church?
One with a pride flag outside. Look, I have nothing against gay people, but is it really okay if everyone starts calling this a gay church?
The kid is right. I texted several church members, and they're uncomfortable with it. How does the diocese feel about this?
The diocese informed us that it had no objections to our flag proposal.
Many of you know that my son is gay. I was the one who first suggested putting up a rainbow flag. Pastor Louise and a couple parish council members loved the idea, so that's why it's there.
Mr. Fleming, I've never seen your son at church.
He lives in Calgary.
Calgary? Are you kidding me? Our church has a pride flag because your son living on the other side of the country happens to be gay?
Yes, Caillou. Is that a problem?
That's very rude of you, Caillou. My niece in Hamilton is gay, and I'm one of the parish council members who endorsed this.
Hamilton is gay. How very true.
Caillou.
Did the entire parish council vote on this?
No, that wasn't necessary.
So you just raised the flag anyway, without a vote. You knew that if it went to a vote it would be defeated.
Sometimes the right thing to do isn't always the most popular choice.
I don't believe this.
Now I have a gay relative too, but I don't support having that flag here. Pastor Louise, did you feel that our church was somehow anti-gay? You do know that we've had some gay members in recent years.
Yeah, like that lesbian couple that recently moved to Ottawa.
Caillou, that's condescending. You should say female same-sex couple.
Okay fine, female same-sex couple. So when the last same-sex couple left our church, because they literally moved out of town, not because they felt unwelcome or anything, now we need a pride flag as bait to attract more LGBT folk?
You're being selfish. While you don't want to be teased at school, actual LGBTQ youth are harassed, bullied and even driven towards suicide.
Maybe I am being selfish, but I guarantee you'll lose members because of this agenda you and your cronies are shoving down our throats.
This rainbow symbol lets everyone know that our church is a safe haven.
So it wasn't a safe haven until that flag arrived? Then how did we have gay members before?
The pride flag is an emblem of brotherly love.
No, it's an emblem of same-sex sexual love. When we're told to love our neighbors as ourselves, that's brotherly love, so please don't conflate the two.
This spoiled kid who once terrorized his newborn sister is now lecturing us on religion. Yes, Caillou, my children used to watch your sickening TV show.
What are you, the straight ally spokeswoman?
Caillou, I find it disconcerting that you claim to have no issues with gay people, but then proceeded to launch into this homophobic and misogynistic tirade.
Oh, so I'm homophobic now? And how am I being misogynistic?
You're questioning my authority as a woman pastor.
If you want me to be misogynistic, I can be misogynistic. How about this? The Apostle Paul said in 1 Corinthians that women should remain silent in church, and they should discuss any questions at home with their husbands. So how did the ordination of women come about?
Keep in mind that in the same letter Paul said women should pray in church with their hair covered, and those who don't cover their hair should be shorn. In other words, they should become bald like you. I don't know any woman who wants to look like you.
Real funny.
But do any of us in our modern age faithfully observe every single one of Paul's mandates? I don't think so. Churches evolve with the times. And in regards to ordaining women, we Anglicans are far more progressive than the Catholics.
Pastor Louise, I think I've figured out your ulterior motive. I think you're a closeted lesbian.
Oh no. No, you didn't.
Okay, go on.
I mean, here you are, a middle-aged, unmarried female pastor. Within the year of arriving here, you bypass the parish council and launch an insurrection to raise the rainbow colors on our church lawn. And then you push this gay people need a safe haven argument. So what else haven't you told us?
Congratulations, Caillou. You've outed me. Yes, I'm a lesbian. But that's beside the point. Our ultimate goal is to officially designate this parish as an affirming church.
I don't believe what I'm hearing.
Non-affirming churches may ostensibly welcome LGBTQ people, only to inculcate in these very individuals the harmful notion that their lifestyles are somehow sinful and unnatural, something they need to repent of. But at an affirming church, we affirm that we were all created the way we are, and we affirm that being gay, bisexual, transgender, non-binary or gender fluid is acceptable within the church. Straight, cis churchgoers will joyfully affirm that there is no sin in being LGBTQ.
I'm no homophobe, but I do know that there are both Old and New Testament verses condemning homosexual behaviors. Not the people themselves, but their actions. So if you want to help LGBT people, you should tell them the truth instead of rejecting biblical guidance in favor of this affirming church farce.
At the last Canadian Anglican General Convention, delegates were in tears after a motion to discard the marriage canon's one man, one woman wording fell short of passing, all because of a few recalcitrant bishops sharing your sadly misguided views. So same-sex marriage is permitted only at the discretion of each diocese. Does that sound like justice?
Didn't those crybabies ever hear of civil ceremonies? No one's stopping those.
Don't you dare call my niece and me crybabies. We won't rest until one man, one woman is eliminated and same-sex couples can marry at any Anglican parish throughout Canada.
Hey Caillou, you've got guts. Pastor Louise, if you don't convene the parish council and put the rainbow flag and affirming church issue to a vote, then I'm afraid I'll have to find another church.
I'd hate to lose any members over this, but no, there won't be a vote. If you don't support the pride flag at our church, then you must be against the LGBTQ community.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Caillou, your own ulterior motive is that unlike Mr. Gillies, you can't threaten to leave since your parents are keeping you here, so you want to torpedo our initiative to save face with your schoolmates.
At least I'm upfront about my intentions.
How would your father react if he heard your vitriolic speech?
He'd ground me for sure. But he's not here.
Yes, he is.
Dad.
Caillou, how dare you deliver a homophobic diatribe on this forum to try to get our church's pride flag removed. That's it. You're grounded. Boris to the rescue.
That's what you deserve, you little punk.
Did Rosie tell on me?
Rosie didn't say a thing. I suspect that selfish girl is on your side, more concerned with her image at school than the well-being of others. I knew you'd be on this forum. I heard everything.
I'm so sorry for what your children put you through, Boris.
Pastor Louise, my wife and I are proud straight allies, but a couple years back our son verbally assaulted trans icon Caitlyn Jenner when she spoke at his school.
Oh my.
Marching and drag beside Prime Minister Trudeau at Toronto Pride apparently wasn't enough to teach Caillou a lesson. So now a more lasting punishment is needed.
Well, Caillou, remember that all are welcome in our church, even entitled, whiny, bald-headed brats like you. See you next Sunday.
Caillou, certain powerful people will be very nervous when they learn the worst thing to come out of Canada since Nickelback shares similar hate-filled views with their soon-to-be ex-president Donald Trump.
No, Dad, please. That's my biggest audience.
Not anymore.
Did they know about the tweet? I have some very sad news for all of you. And for all of our fellow citizens. And people who love children's programming all over the nation. And that is that today, PBS cancelled Caillou.